He's currently managing customer trust for a major e-commerce platform's payment gateway platform. He has the ability to knit in legal, compliance, technical, machine learning, analytical aspects into designing a program and setting up mechanisms to ensure participation, transparency, funding, leadership alignment, and delivery of the project. Currently, he is learning machine learning, project management, effective ways to create and drive strategy, stock investing on a personal front, and also he advises on startups, fraud risk mitigation, and program management. In today's episode, let us chat with Mayank Dwivedi on financial frauds. This is the Guiding Voice podcast series, the Guiding Voice for a Better Future. Friends, I'm your host Naveen Samala, just a fellow IT professional, but a passionate learner on a mission to make a difference in the careers and lives of millions across the globe. And through the Guiding Voice, we drive conversations that matter, conversations that add value to your life and to your career. Successful leaders and celebrated coaches across the globe share their knowledge and wisdom with our audience so that each one of you will acquire more knowledge by tuning into the Guiding Voice per every minute than any other podcast in this space. Thank you so much for joining me and extremely pleased to have Mayank part of today's episode. Mayank, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice.
Hey, thanks, Naveen. Thanks for having me here.
So, Mayank, without further ado, let's get into the conversation and maybe you can briefly share your career journey so that our audience get to know who they are listening to.
Sure. Hey, so I'm a typical engineering and MBA guy. I think the first 6 years of my career, I was into different e-commerce startups in Gurgaon and London. Unfortunately, nothing big unicorn type came out of that. So I thought, let's do an MBA and try corporate job for a change. That's when I went for an MBA in UK, and then Brexit pushed me back to India. I came and joined Uber in Hyderabad, worked there for a year and joined Amazon back in 2019. It has been 4 years in Amazon since, and currently I am leading the fraud prevention charter in Amazon Payments India.
Quite a bit of journey here, and Mayank, throughout this career, okay, spanning across multiple companies, and in fact, you ventured with startups as well as unicorns and also established organization. So, to be successful in your professional life, what are top 3 things that have contributed to you?
Hey, sure. I think the first thing is definitely self-learning, which is not very effectively communicated or sometimes forlorn also. And self-learning is like a lifelong learning. It can be learning from reading books, doing courses, because like your degree will not set you up to do what you need to do in your career. So self-learning is definitely first. Second is having a circle of mentors from which you can get advice, and this can be both people senior to you as well as junior to you, so that you know what's happening around. You can learn from industry experts as well as from the new generation out there on what innovation feels like for them. And the third is, I think, the age old thing that our Indian parents teach us, which is consistent hard work. And I think I would want to focus on consistency, because it's hard work plus the right focus over the right period of time that leads to success.
So it's all about self-learning and being up to date with what's happening around the world and getting advice from right set of people. And one thing that really amused me is about getting reverse mentorship as well, right? You never know what juniors have to teach, and we don't have to go by the designation and the age, right? I also strongly believe in that, and there is something to offer from anyone, right? I strongly believe in that, and thanks for highlighting that point. And now let's move into the core of today's topic and discuss this financial fraud. So how do we explain this financial fraud to a layman?
Yeah, if I were to give a one line definition of financial fraud, it just means that when a person misuses your money for their own benefit, it is called financial fraud. I think broadly it can range from a simple scam that you face online or offline to actually someone stealing your credit card or payment gateway details and then misusing the money inside it.
Great explanation. So when you mentioned about this payment gateway and using this credit card and all, and it reminds me of how this entire payment card industry has transformed by coming up with this PCI guidelines. Earlier, I think about a decade and a half ago, when this BPO culture started creeping in and all, At that point in time, customers from developed countries used to share their credit card details with the call center agents, and companies used to maintain the database of those credit cards, and those were used fraudulently and misused, I would say. And then that's when this
Mhm.
PCI guidelines came into picture. It actually struck a chord for me. And now,
Yeah.
moving ahead on the topic, are there any global trends in this financial fraud? Because I'll tell you, in India currently, I've come across a couple of scenarios. So one of them is the classified portals like OLX and Quicker, and also real estate portals like Magic Bricks and NoBroker.com. The moment we
Mhm.
publish any advertisement saying that I want to let out or lease out my property, somebody calls you from an unknown number, and they share these details saying that they are dressed up in army uniform, and they say, okay, I liked your property and I don't want to visit, and I'm ready to pay how much ever rent you want. And
Mhm.
they convince as if they're the real tenant. But at the end, what happens is they try to pull money out of your account by keeping you in that particular mode wherein they send the QR code and we inadvertently tend to transfer. In fact, I was into that kind of situation, and before even I transferred, I realized, okay, why the hell should I transfer money to this guy, right? That is one scam which I come across. And second one is, we often get an SMS saying that, hey, your SBI credit card or SBI account is logged, or so and so account is
Mhm.
logged, click here to update your KYC and all. So these are certain things that come to my mind, which are prevalent in India. Likewise, I'm
Mhm.
curious what kind of things are happening across the globe.
No, I think you just mentioned two very common modus operandi. I think the first one that you mentioned about the army officer, and the modus operandi is to trigger emotions in you, so that in that state of being emotional, you do something that you are not supposed to do. Like instead of receiving payment, you send payment by entering your UPI and PIN. And the second modus operandi that you said is that SBI credit card. It is called creating a sense of urgency. So like you will get a SMS or email that your SBI credit card is blocked. Click here to do something, and then when you click, you are taken to a phishing page which can look like SBI page or something like that. You enter your SBI login details and all, but those login details are sent to the bad actor and not to the bank itself. So yeah, and I think almost every Indian would have experienced some form of scam. I think just last week my mom was telling me that she got a WhatsApp message about spin and win offer, that you spin and win and then you will get some prize. And I told her that okay, it is the time of Diwali, but don't fall prey to these. Okay, so going back to your question, Naveen, I think broadly financial frauds are three types. Let me start with the one that we just discussed, where emotions or a sense of urgency is used. We call it social engineering frauds, because the bad actor or the fraudster is using social engineering to derive benefits out of you. And they are basically scamming you to make payment for their benefit. So it's social engineering, and it is a very dangerous fraud, because you typically will not get refund for these kind of frauds even if you report it, because you are the person who have authorized these payments. The second kind of fraud is stolen instrument fraud, where someone steals your payment details. It can be your card details, it can be the login ID password of your credit card app or something like that. So this is a second, not that common because it requires some technical expertise, but this is the second type of fraud, stolen card fraud. And the last type of fraud is basically identity theft, when someone steals your identity, like he knows your PAN card or Aadhaar card, and using that he is able to apply and get the credit card, or he is able to apply and get a buy now pay later card from someone. So the last type is identity theft kind of fraud.
Excellent, and that gives a clear understanding about the motive as well as the different types of frauds. Now, can we shed some light around global trends, like in India, the two scenarios that we discussed, right? Likewise,
Mhm.
are there any emerging trends or existing trends in the financial fraud?
Yeah, sure. So I think first of all, I just want to mention that there is no authorized body who reports an exact figure of the amount of financial fraud in India or globally. I mean, there are definitely research reports by consulting companies like PwC and even other companies like Experian who specialize in fighting online payment fraud domain. But there is no definite authority or organization who publishes this. And a partial reason is that people don't report fraud. I think in India, the slight problem is that culturally people are hesitant to report to someone else that they have been scammed. So the amount of reporting is also less. Having said that, I think if I were to share two common trends that I have been seeing a lot in India is wishing scam. So WISHING, which is basically someone calls you and then he scams you. I mean, he would usually say that you have won lucky draw prize, and to maybe you won Tata Indigo or some car, but you just pay some 5,000 rupees for delivery and taxes, and we will get it delivered. So this is one very common type of fraud. The second type of common fraud, which is picking up pace, is like a job scam kind of thing. Like, so they will WhatsApp you or email you that you are selected for part-time job on as much as 5,000 rupees a day by doing this and that. But it is kind of a scam because they will ask you to invest money upfront so that you can make money later. But then slowly they will try to take more money from you and then stop responding and just shut shop and go away.
I think these guys are very creative at luring the gullible people, right? And I always wonder like how they come up with this creative thought process and all. But essentially, if you look at some common people who are getting trapped and all, so I feel sorry about them. And I tried to report this to the cybercrime authorities on multiple occasions, but there is no luck. I think we can talk about the law enforcement agencies in a while, but
Mhm.
moving ahead into the conversation and all, I'm curious about these financial frauds. Are they just relevant to individuals, or do we expect similar thing in the B2B scenarios as well? So one company to another company, or something in the business environment.
No, so I think it is relevant to both to individual and businesses as well. But like businesses like big corporates, the most common financial fraud is data theft. Like if and it is very significant. Like if their database gets leaked and it is available in the dark web, then not only do they lose the details of their customers, but the trust that customers have in them is totally lost. This is not very common because it requires a lot of technical expertise in hacking into the data of big companies, but it does happen sporadically. And I think I have actually come across a lot of news about crypto wallets being stolen by hackers. So I think that is a little more common. But yeah, I think apart from that, big companies also do fall prey to financial fraud. But I think what gets covered in the news is individuals who lose money, because even like a 1 lakh rupees lost to an individual is a big amount for them. So yeah, it happens on both front, in for individuals as well as for big companies as well.
Yeah, that's quite eye opening. And moving ahead, so as an individual, right, how can I be safe? How can I avoid getting cheated? Like, are there any specific tips so that I don't become a victim of getting into this financial fraud?
Yeah, sure. And good question. I think everyone out there in India using digital payment should know about this. I think the first step is awareness. I would say that whenever, as a person, you get a credit card or you open a digital wallet, just go and try using it end to end, making a transaction of like maybe 1 rupees, so that you know how the payment using that instrument works, what all is needed and what all is not needed. And once you know that, maybe note it down somewhere and then adhere to it. If someone calls you up or emails you and asks you to follow a different process, don't do that, because it most probably will be a scam. And a good example is UPI collect fraud, where I think if you have done UPI payment, you know that you enter MPIN only when you are making a payment to someone. But sometimes something bad actors, they call you up, maybe you on Quicker or something, and they will say, "Okay, I like the product you have listed. Now I have sent you a payment link. To accept the payment, you can enter MPIN and accept it." Some people by mistake they enter MPIN, but they don't know that. and the money will be debited from their account and paid to the other person. So awareness is, I think, the first great tip that one should have. The second tip I would give to all individuals is that for them to know that their mobile number and their mobile device is like a gateway to all of their wealth. And this is important to understand because your mobile number is linked to everything. Any validation, you get an OTP on SMS, and then that's it. So like if you are suspending your mobile number because your mobile number is not Vastu compliant or whatnot, just update your mobile numbers immediately on all the credit card and payment apps. The second thing you can do is not share your mobile number or SMS or device with anyone else, even your family members. And also make it a habit to use some anti-malware apps on your mobile number. I think most of them are free. I think personally I used Bitwarden and Avast, these two. But any free anti-malware app, just start using it on your mobile device.
Excellent. And I would like to add on something else to your tips. Essentially, nobody gives something for free, right? If we get these Coca-Cola awards, they say you have won 1 crore 20 lakhs or whatever it is, and it got stuck at customs. You have to pay this, that, and all. And unfortunately, we see people who are educated and who are in great positions also fall prey to that kind of luring messages. And one other thing which I would like to share is a new type of fraud which I came across is you'll receive a call from some international number, and actually that call comes from a guy, but they pretend as if it is a girl, and later on they call you occasionally. If you're in based out of India, if the call comes from UK or US, they do make sure that they contact during that particular time, and they show you some random video as if it is real time. Likewise, and later they seek your details in terms of what is your shirt, what is your shirt size, pant, trouser size, shoe size, and all other thing, and they try to engage in a conversation so that they get to know some basic details. And after a while, they say, "I'm relocating to a new country or something, and I want to send you a token of appreciation for being my friend and all. So give me your details." And later on, the next day, once you provide your address, the next day you receive a call from some random mobile number which says we are calling from Delhi Customs Office, and some person named XYZ sent you a package from US or UK, and all you have to do is pay some 30,000 or 40,000 bucks to get this package delivered. In fact, I got a call like that, and I immediately told them, "Hey, keep that packet to yourself and don't call me again." Why would somebody send us such an expensive gift and all, right? So we got to think for a minute before falling prey to that kind of thing. And yeah, I think despite of raising a lot of awareness and all, still lot of education needs to be done. And people, my request and my humble request is, nobody gives something for free. Keep that thing on your mind, and before you click on any URL, make sure that the URL is legitimate. If at all sbicard.com is the legitimate website, you might see sbicard.e.com, or there is some prefix or suffix. Make a note of that, and also take a look at that https, okay, the prefix, and if there is a lock symbol on the web page, and all these are certain basic checks we can perform before making any check. And one best way to avoid any uh, fraudulent transactions, if at all somebody is posing as a call center agent from a particular bank and all, what we can do is, you can tell them, "Hey, I want to shut down the call and I want to immediately call the customer service," and call the concerned bank's customer service and get to know whether it is real or not, right? So likewise, by following some basic tips and all, we can be safe from this kind of financial frauds. And also, those are my 2 cents, Mayank. And
I think very good and very relevant tips. I mean, I think what you said is stop and think is very relevant.
yeah,
Like there is no rush in life, there is no rush to pay anyone. Just stop and think whether what you are going through is actually valid or not. Because if something appears too good to be true, then most probably it might be a scam.
yep.
And the second thing that you say is also what we recommend our customers as well, that if you are in doubt whether that call is from Amazon or from some credit card company, just pause, hold, and call that company on their toll-free number and validate whatever you are being told to. That is a very simple and quick way to validate the payment or any offer that has been made.
Absolutely. And I urge the audience, okay, who are from security background and who are into dealing with this kind of financial frauds, if you have any better tips or advices, please feel free to comment in the comment section if you are watching this video on YouTube, or you can also leave comments on the social media, and definitely we are going to cover it in future episodes. But these are something very essential, and these have become basics in my opinion. And yeah, with on that note, Mayank, I would like to move to my previous thread, which I initiated
Mhm.
about cybercrime authorities and all. See, today also I get an SMS saying that you're selected for Amazon or you're selected for Flipkart for basic work from home, and you get 7,000 rupees per day. Who the hell in the world will pay 7,000 rupees? Per day or per hour, okay, for a part-time job, right? And I forward this to cybercrime department and then take no action. I'm really concerned, right? Because people like you and me who are aware of these things and trying to spread awareness and trying to prevent the
Mhm.
further crimes wherein innocent people being getting trapped and all. But I don't know who else can we contact, and what is your take on the law enforcement agencies in this aspect?
Yeah, I think just to make some broad comments before I move on to some crisp points that individuals can do after fraud has happened. I think largely I am hopeful that the regulation and the law enforcement will improve over time. And I think the reason is that the digital payment space is so new that the regulations are not very strong here. If someone breaks into your house and steals money, then the regulations are very clear. Keep proof flow, cybersecurity camera, there will be some video footage and all show that, and then the police will file an FIR, and then things will happen. They will try to grab that person. But in digital payment space, the fraudster's identity is so digital and so untraceable. It is actually difficult for police or the regulators to catch hold of that person. Let's say you got a phone call from a bad actor. After a week, that bad actor will change his phone number because it is so easy to get a new number and all. But high level, if I were to say, I think in India, both RBI, Ministry of Home Affairs, the regulators, they are very proactive. They are coming up with new schemes, and also I think they are in talks to have a central fraud repository in India for digital payment perpetrators. So hopefully these things take time, but I would at least say that we are on the right direction. Having said that, I think it's not that we don't have any way to mitigate these frauds once they happen right now. So just telling two things that individuals can do if payment fraud actually happens with them. The first is to report it to Cyber Crime Cell India with as much details as possible. Like what time, which mobile number did you get a call, or which email you got an email from, maybe call recording or email snapshots. So give as much details to the cybercrime cell. They do act on this, but they need some details to go and act on this, and they also corroborate evidences from multiple complaints. And if there is a common pattern emerging, then they will take some action on that. The second thing that I would urge individuals to do is to immediately report fraud to the entity which issued the payment instrument. So, like if it is a credit card fraud, then report it to the bank. If it is a digital wallet, then report it to the company from which you got that wallet. And the reason is that the way regulation is defined, it is time bound. So, like within one day, if you report, you get maybe full refund. If within 4 days you report fraud, you get maybe 80% refund. If you report it within 7 days, you get some refund. But if you report after say 10 days, then you won't be eligible for refund. So reporting it immediately is very important, so that you can make good of some of the loss that you faced in the fraud.
So yeah, instant reporting helps to an extent. Great, but I wish there is an app kind of thing similar to this Telecom Regulatory Authority of India Try DND app, right? Wherein if
Mhm.
I get an unsolicited message, I report to it, and immediately telecom operator takes an action. Likewise, it would be great if the cybercrime department can devise an app wherein we can pass those details and load it with a simple SMS forward kind of thing, and wherein they have to trace who the number is, who is owning that number, and then find out that people, and maybe take them into this preventive custody, do some interrogation, and act that way. If at all we are able to figure out the root cause and fix it at the nascent stage, right? Rest of the people will be afraid of doing this kind of crimes.
Yeah, I think that is a good North Star vision we should have. But I was actually surprised, when I got to know cybercrime, because they moved the offline reporting platform to online, which I think in itself is a
Yeah,
big step. Because going to police station, registering in FIR, and maybe paying some
yeah.
money just to register the FIR is a too big of a hassle that individuals may or may not do. But actually, this online portal is one step forward, and I think many big MNC companies and Indian fintech companies, they have started a toll-free number dedicated for fraud reporting. So that is again maybe one step further. But yeah, I think what you said, once all the digital ecosystem gets connected to each other and we find a trace end to end for any bad activity, then I think the action will also become a lot faster.
Yeah, Mayank, this has been fabulous conversation, and we spoke a lot about some serious stuff, financial fraud, and how to avoid, and what are different types of frauds and all. But let's lighten up the mood of our audience. Okay, so I'm going to kick off a quick rapid fire round with your consent. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm up for it.
Okay, fantastic. Let's move ahead and start with the first question. What is the best dream in your life?
Fly an airplane.
Wow. If you win $1 billion lottery, what would you do with that money?
Start my own company.
Can you describe yourself in just one word?
Believer, I would say.
Awesome. And is there anything that you would like to correct in your past, or are you happy?
No, nothing. I don't have regrets, or I won't want to go back and change anything from my past. I think I am what I am because of my past, so I'm good with that.
Excellent. So everything is going as per the plan. Good to hear that. And with that, let me fire the last bullet. What is one electronic gadget that you would like to see or invent yourself, Mayank?
Yeah, that would be, I would say, a virtual reality based credit card. And I think the concept itself is cool, that you don't have to switch from credit card to mobile app or some toll free number of customer support. You can just put on your goggles and look at the rewards or the credit card actions directly on your card itself.
That's quite fascinating. And great rapid fire with that. Mayank, let's flip back to the mainstream. And before I let you go, one final question for today's conversation. What will be your single piece of advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers or lives?
Yeah, I would say just believe in yourself. Don't let all the naysayers get to you. Have some thick skin, and also I think have the right expectations, because of the today's media world. I think instant gratification has become a thing, but actual success, I think, is not gifted to you. I think it's not an overnight journey of success. It's just like a long road, sometimes a lonely road, where you put in hard work, but you are focused so that you slowly get there. So believe in yourself and have the grit to get onto the long road and make it to the finish.
So profound and great. Thank you so much for the advice, and thank you so much for joining me, Mayank. And I really appreciate your time and insights.
Hey, sure, Navin. It was great having me here, and yeah, look forward to more such conversations.
Absolutely, we can plan a few more sessions in future, and a pleasure to host you, Mayank. And folks, before we move into the trivia section, here is a request to you. In case if you haven't subscribed to us already, please subscribe from the app where you have tuned in from. Also, if you have enjoyed this conversation and found the episode useful, request you to share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can benefit from the guiding voice. Thank you so much in advance. Now let's hop into the trivia segment of today's episode. So today we had a great discussion about financial fraud, and I would like to present a few more facts related to financial fraud. Corruption was one of the two most common types of fraud in every region surveyed, including North America, Africa, Europe, Middle East, Latin America, and Asia, which means corruption is everywhere. In some places it is obvious, in some places it is not. And second aspect is only 3% of frauds in Southern Asia were perpetrated by women, the smallest number of any region. And the highest percentage of female fraudsters by region, 44.3%, and it was in the United States. And external audit only detected fraud in 4% of US cases, though many organizations rely heavily on external audit for fraud detection. And the average organization loses 5% of revenues in a given year as a result of fraud. Likewise, this financial fraud is not just applicable to individuals but also to corporate, as Mayank mentioned. And folks, if you have any excellent tips in order to avoid these financial frauds as requested earlier, please share in the form of comments or email me at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. And in addition to that, if you have any great topic or guest recommendations, please feel free to reach out to me through social media by searching for Naveen Samala or email me at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. Thank you so much in advance. And that's all for today. Until next time, bye bye. Signing off for today. See you all in the next one.